Only one feller can tame the Wild West. Only one feller is young, dumb, and full of courage. And only one feller goes by the name of Roscoe Taylor, the Tallahassee Tween. Brought to you by KZSM.org. Tonight's episode, Underground Angst amongst the Armadillo Armada. Checkers is walking down a dusty trail, with Roscoe sitting on his back. This dirt path is long and winding, and they've been on it for quite some time.
Hey, little buddy. How's the weather up there?
Dusty and dry.
Same here. How's the view?
I can't tell. There's so much dust everywhere I can't hardly see 4 feet in any direction.
Same here. I'm gonna stop trotting for a minute and take a little break.
Sounds fine by me. Hey, Checkers?
Yeah?
You know how some cowboys have that thing they say?
You mean yeehaw?
No, the other thing.
Gee, I sure love riding horses and shooting guns.
No, the other thing.
Get along, little doggy?
Yeah, that.
Oh, well, what about it?
Why do they say that?
I think it's what cattle wranglers yell out when they're commanding a herd. It's something to say to the cows.
But why do they call them doggies? Why don't they call them cows?
Huh. I don't know, actually. Maybe they want to get the cows all confused so they're easier to wrangle.
What?
Well, think about it. You're a cow, right?
Am not.
R2.
Am not.
Roscoe, please. I'm trying to make a point here. I'm not actually calling you a cow. I'm just setting up a hypothetical scenario.
Oh. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. You may continue.
You're a cow, right?
Right.
And you're being wrangled along with your herd, right?
Right.
Well, suppose you don't want to be wrangled. Suppose you want to go take a swig of that pond water over to the east and you're determined to walk over there.
The wranglers wouldn't like that.
Exactly. So, to keep you complacent, they need to break you down psychologically.
What?
It's the only way. They need to trick you, to put you in a state of confusion so you're more malleable to their commands. So they shout out, "Get along, little doggy!" And now your whole world is rocked.
Because I'm not a dog?
Exactly! You're a cow! And a big one, too. But here's this guy calling you a doggy, and a little one at that. How would that make you feel?
Confused.
Yes, you, a cow, are thinking to yourself, "Hey, wait a minute. I'm not a little doggy. Why did he call me that? I don't even look like a doggy. Does he know something I don't know? Has something changed? Who am I? What am I?" Then, boom, you're headed towards the herd again. You can't even remember that pond water that you craved a second ago, and you're having a full-blown identity crisis. The wrangler has won yet again.
Wow. Is that really why they say that?
No clue. I just made all that up. It could totally be wrong.
Okay. Thanks for the... Hey, did you see that guy up ahead on the trail? The one heading our way?
Yeah, the one with the Hawaiian shirt and the panicked expression.
He sure seems like he's in a hurry.
Help! Help! It's a travesty! A disaster!
Cool your jets, mister. What happened?
It's too terrible to put into words, too despicable to say out loud.
Well, we need something to go off of, or else we can't help you.
Somebody stole the Grand Canyon!
What?
Stole it! Ripped the dang thing off the face of the earth. It's not there anymore.
I didn't realize we were that close to the Grand Canyon. Or where it used to be, anyways.
What do you mean stole? How can somebody steal a big hole in the ground?
I have no idea. I'm just a tourist. I came to see the sights and sounds of the Wild West. I didn't sign up to be witness to the cosmic horror that is a theft of a national treasure such as this.
Where is it?
About 2 miles east. You can't miss it. I'm going to run away in fear now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The tourist ran off into the distance, flailing his arms above his head as he left like a coward. Checkers and Roscoe hiked in the direction the man said before they saw a sinister sight that the man had been screaming about.
Holy cow. He was right.
I've been alive for a long time in horse years, and I've never seen anything like this.
In the distance, they could see a giant hole, perfectly round, going deep into the Earth's core. Where there once was an expansive, resplendent canyon, there now was a pit that never seemed to end.
This is bizarre. Who could have done this?
Who could have done this?
Maybe this was some kind of freak mega sinkhole or something? Erosion definitely isn't supposed to look like this.
Well, there's only one next step, right?
Jump into that seemingly unending hole and see what's at the bottom of it? If there even is a bottom?
Exactly. I'll do the old hat parachute maneuver. Let's go for it.
You don't have to tell me twice. Let's go.
Checkers raced towards the mouth of the giant hole with Roscoe sitting on top of his saddle. With a mighty leap, they flew straight into the center of the pit. They fell down and down and down some more before Roscoe pulled up his trusty, terrifically tall hat and caught the wind underneath it. Using his unusually strong leg grip strength, Roscoe clutched his knees together into the saddle, holding Checkers up with him as they gently floated down the mysterious chasm. After what felt like ages, they felt the ground meet their feet. But everything was pitch black. Only a faint dot of light could be seen far above them where they entered the opening of the hole.
Well, this is the bottom, but I can't see a dang thing. Grab a match out of the saddlebag, would you? We got that lantern in there, too, somewhere.
Of course. Here we go.
Roscoe's hand fumbled and fished around in the saddlebags before he finally pulled out the matchbook and a rusty red oil lantern. The lantern's flame lit up about a 30-foot circle around them in any direction, exposing only the muddy ground beneath their feet. The chasm they were standing in was hundreds of miles wide, and the vast majority of it remained unlit and unseeable. But Roscoe wasted no time before he hopped off Checkers' back and began inspecting the floor.
What do we have here? Dirt, dirt, a few dinosaur bones, more dirt. Huh? What's that over there? It looks like a...
Hands where I can see them.
Is that an armadillo?
I've got a gun. Hands above your head.
Whoa, man. Yeah, we'll do it. Our hands are up.
Why are you pointing that thing at us, little guy? We don't mean you no harm.
You two are officially trespassing in Armadillo Armada territory. I'm taking you in as prisoners.
Prisoners? I didn't see a no trespassing sign anywhere. Somebody stole the Grand Canyon, so we jumped down here to see what's what. We aren't going anywhere with you.
Very well.
Ah! My leg!
What the cowboy hell, man? Why'd you shoot his leg? I'm gonna beat you to death.
You're gonna have to catch me first.
And just like that, the armadillo rolled into a ball and spun away off into the dark expanse.
Ah! Ow, ow, ow. My leg is bleeding like crazy. What a little jerk.
Dang, you need to bandage that up, stat. There's some gauze in the saddlebag on the left, I think. Where'd that thing run off to?
I don't know, but he... Ow. Sir seemed mad about us setting foot down here. I wonder... Ow. If he...
Suddenly, the armadillo rolled back up to them, but he was followed by another, slightly larger armadillo wearing a crown and a cape. They got close enough to be illuminated by the flickering lantern's light.
This is my king.
I am the king.
Why'd you shoot me?
Because you wouldn't surrender. You're our prisoners now.
No, we ain't. You can't arrest people. You're armadillos.
Yeah, even if you do have a gun, ow, you're still like half a foot tall.
He is a foot soldier who has been granted jurisdiction of this underground kingdom by me, the sovereign ruler of the ground dwellers. Bow.
I won't bow.
I won't bow either. And I can't. My knees wouldn't bend that way.
He told you to bow.
I'd listen to him. He's got a gun.
We know.
Hey, King of the Armadillos, what's this big hole about? What did you guys do to the Grand Canyon?
I'll explain everything once you wake up.
Huh?
Just then, from behind Roscoe and Checkers, shrouded by shadows, 4 armadillos sitting on each other's shoulders snuck up and wielded a big wooden club. They smacked our heroes out cold, and soon more armadillos came out from the black reaches to lift our unconscious comrades up and away to a large burrowed hole on the nearest wall.
Good work, soldiers. Now, let's take these intruders to see the true splendor of our underground domain. Soon our plan will come to fruition. Soon we will wipe out all surface dwellers. Soon the world will cower in fear at the mere mention of the Armadillo Armada.
Oh no! Will our heroes make it out of this one alive? Like, Aside from the armadillo thing, are they gonna suffer any long-term head trauma from all of these head bonks they've been getting? Seriously, they get knocked unconscious like once an episode. That could really lead to some long-term health problems. Do either of them have insurance? Would they consider cowboy adventure a pre-existing condition? What evil plan does the Armadillo King have in store? Could a horse even get insurance nowadays? These are all questions worth asking, and the answers to some of them will be revealed after this short commercial break. Welcome back to Roscoe Taylor, the Tallahassee Tween. Now let's get back to the action. When we left off, Roscoe and Checkers had just been knocked out by some armadillos and carried off under the orders of the Armadillo King. Now our rootin' tootin' tooters wake up and look around in bewilderment. The first thing they notice is the fact that they can see their surroundings. They seem to be in a large underground cave system, one that's filled with glowing green gemstones. The second thing they notice is the fact that they are hanging upside down with their feet tied around hanging stalactites.
Huh? Where am I? Hey, where are those armadillos?
I'm awake. What's up with all these glowing rocks?
Silence, fools.
You.
Yes, I, King Leporius, the 115th, master of the subterranean and leader of the fiercest army below the earth's crust. Who exactly are you?
As he spoke, the little king finally came into Roscoe and Checkers' line of sight. He was seated on a throne that was carried by 4 smaller armadillos. Down to the other side of the cave, a massive horde of about 900 armadillos, all equipped with weapons of every shape and every size. Okay, maybe not every shape and every size, but all the ones that count. The troops stood at attention, closely watching the upside-down intruders.
Your names. What are your names?
Roscoe Taylor, the Tallahassee Tween.
Nice to meet you, Rambo Tamer.
Nope, it's not what I said.
Checkers Justice. The horse that is going to straight up kill you if you don't let me down from this stupid stalactite.
I grow bored of your petty threats, horse. You are outnumbered, outmatched, and out of options. Why did you travel to my domain?
You stole the Grand Canyon. How many times do we need to say it? We came down here to search for clues. That's it.
Why'd you do it? Where are you keeping the real Grand Canyon? Is this a ransom thing?
What? No, it's gone. It does not exist anymore. You understand how holes work, right? What was once a mere canyon now serves as a key part of my plan to overtake the surface dwellers.
Your little soldier friend shot him in the leg. That sucked. You knocked us out. That was terrible. Oh, you're dead meat. Just wait and see. Your plan's going to fail and we're going to beat you into smithereens. It's obvious.
You have quite a lot of confidence for a horse that's about to die.
Bite me.
What is the hole for? What are you gonna do with it?
I'm going to reclaim the topside for my kind. We will kill all those who stand against me. Humans, coyotes, snakes, all will fall beneath the smash of our tiny fists. We armadillos are good at 3 things: burrowing underground, rolling up into a ball, and world domination. The army in this room is but a percentage of my armada's true might, you see. We are spread out through caves and burrows underneath every inch of the Wild West. And armadillos breed like crazy, so I gain more soldiers with each passing day.
Okay, gross. Didn't need that.
Step 1 of the plan has just completed. We dug a hole so big that the Doomdillo may finally rise to the surface and wreak destruction before the coming war.
The what?
The Doomdillo.
What's a doomdillo?
My most beautiful creation. We aren't just any type of armadillos, as I'm sure you're aware. We can speak and form armies.
I did notice that.
That's thanks to these glowing rocks you'll see all around this cavern. For some reason, these things have been mutating our species over the past 100 generations, and since armadillos have pretty short lifespans, our mutations have become more varied at a very quick rate. For instance, I can see through skin. That's just a cool, strange thing I can do. That guard who shot you earlier, his mutation makes his eyes sometimes look blue and sometimes look green, and maybe it's not as useful as it is flashy, but it's a mutation nonetheless.
You must have gotten a mutation for being an egomaniac.
Megalomania runs in my royal veins. It has to. That's how I command my subjects. That's how I command the Doomdillo. It's an armadillo that was exposed to even more glowing rocks than the rest of us. He has grown incredibly large over the last 5 years, and now well, I'll just show you. Doomdillo, come!
Busting through the cave walls, an incredibly large armadillo behemoth crashed its way up into the room and stomped up to the king. This monster was 90 feet tall, and every inch of it was ready to kill.
This is the Doomdillo.
Wow.
That's big.
Now do you see how hopeless your escape would be? This is the beginning of the end for you, my friend. At the strike of midnight, the Doomdillo will climb up the chasm that used to be your little canyon, and he will flatten every living thing for miles and miles. Then, my armies will dig all the way up through the Earth's crust to attack in separate, coordinated attacks across the West in the dead of the night. We will overthrow the surface before the sun rises again.
But how can you do that when your Doomdillo gets tamed by a tween?
What is that supposed to mean?
Here we go.
Roscoe dislocated his shoulders and slipped down out of the rope binding him to the stalactite. As he plummeted towards the cave floor, he reached out for the rope to use as an impromptu lasso, and with a yank and a little bit of luck, he cast it out immediately for one of the Doomdillo's giant ears. It worked! Roscoe flung himself towards the head of the Doomdillo, and as he landed on its scalp, he grabbed 2 handfuls of hair and held on as tight as he could.
Get down from there! What are you doing?
I'm gonna tame this critter.
The giant beast writhed and shook, while Roscoe clung to the tufts of hair in its grip. It bucked, it jumped, it tried in vain to swat our hero off its head, but Roscoe still held tight to the follicles and showed no sign of letting go anytime soon.
Now let's get you free, Checkers.
Roscoe yanked the makeshift hair reins to the right, and the Doomdillo instinctively threw its body in that direction. He swung his clawed paws frantically, accidentally smashing through the top of the stalactite that held Checkers.
Uh-oh, I'm falling! Roscoe, catch me!
Of course, buddy.
Roscoe shifted his grip to the left, and the Doomdillo spun accordingly, sticking out a massive paw directly underneath Checkers as he fell to the ground.
Hey, I landed on this thing. I'm not dead.
Hurry up and run up its arm to the head with me. I don't exactly have control of this thing yet.
Checkers galloped up the arm of the Goliath. The Armadillo King began shouting orders to his army, who had been watching all of this incredulously from the ground.
Don't just stand there, you idiots! Fight! Attack! Do something to stop them!
Having received clear orders from their king, the Armadillo Armada quickly snapped into action. Some archers assembled to the front of the pack and began lobbing a volley of arrows at the heathens on top of the Doomdillo. Most arrows bounced off the impenetrable hide of the monster, but a few made it close enough to Roscoe and Checkers that they could feel a rush of the air as the projectiles flew by.
Yikes. Good thing I'm incredibly good at dodging.
Roscoe bent forwards and backwards, dodging every passing arrow with grace and charm. Checkers had finally gotten past the huge shoulder of the behemoth, was getting close to the top of its head.
Almost there. What's our plan to get out of this place?
I hadn't thought that far.
Can you start trying to think something up? I don't like our odds down here. We need to get back above ground. Stat!
You fools won't make it out of here alive! Armada! Prepare the catapults!
What?
The soldiers wheeled out 5 massive catapults, and within an instant, armadillos climbed into the buckets of each machine and rolled into a ball. The ones on the ground began turning a winch attached to a long arm of the catapult back, winding and winding the rope until it was as tight as can be. Then, with a mighty fling, the ropes were released, and the 5 angry artillery were shot straight for our heroes.
Oh, crap, they're coming right for us!
2 armadillos landed by Roscoe, 2 landed by Checkers, and 1 had finally, 2 armadillos landed by Roscoe, 2 landed by Checkers, who had finally reached the top of the giant's head, and 1 armadillo landed in between them, and this one looked familiar.
It's me, from earlier. and I still have a gun.
Not for long.
Roscoe swung his left leg back, the one that didn't have a bullet in it, and in a flash, he kicked the gun-wielding armadillo like a soccer ball.
Whoa!
That's for shooting my leg, idiot.
Roscoe's punt sent the critter flying through the air, smashing into the glowing green cave wall with a thud.
Now, who else wants to dance?
It's tango time!
The 4 remaining armadillos looked surprised by our tween's incredible kick, but they shook it off as they all whipped out their weapons. Daggers, knives, and small spears were all aimed directly for our heroes.
Why are you taking so long? Kill them!
The soldiers began swinging wildly at the Tallahassee tween and his horse bounty hunter friend, attempting to slice them to ribbons. Checkers began kicking and biting at the tiny attackers, and Roscoe began dodging the jabs from left to right as he tried to think up of a plan to get out of this.
The Doomdillo doesn't seem to want this battle on his dome to go on much longer. We better beat these bozos, then split.
Down on the ground, the Armadillo King had picked up the body of the defeated Armadillo Guard, the one with the gun that got drop-kicked into oblivion by Roscoe just moments ago.
If you want something done right, grab somebody else's gun and do it yourself.
He picked up the gun out of the unconscious Armadillo's hands and pointed it at Checkers and Roscoe and haphazardly began firing away. The King's bullets didn't hit the intended target, but instead shot through one of the Doomdillo's massive earlobes. With a scream of pain, the monster jumped into the air and tucked into a massive ball.
Oh no!
As the creature rolled into a defensive sphere, Roscoe, Checkers, and all of the Armadillo's soldiers on top of its scalp were now trapped underneath its huge shell. It began rolling forwards away from the Armada and out of the green glowing cave. It rolled through the burrowed tunnels all the way to the massive hole that used to be the Grand Canyon. Once it reached the giant pit, it opened back up out of its ball and began climbing up the dirt walls towards the surface above.
We gotta stop this thing. I can kick these little guys away, but I have no idea how to kill this massive monster.
Can't you control it by tugging on its hair like you did earlier?
I mean, yeah, but that only worked for a little while. This thing doesn't like to be bossed around. We need some kind of permanent solution.
Let's focus on these foot soldiers first. I'm sure there's some way to beat this thing.
The Armadillo soldiers were clearly still trying to grip onto the Doomdillo. However, they could, as a towering titan kept climbing up the former canyon.
How's your leg holding up, by the way?
It hurts so bad. I'm gonna make every one of these dummies pay for it.
I'll help.
Losing no time, Roscoe whipped his lasso around the nearest armadillo's blade and threw it off into the distance. Then he grabbed it by the scruff of its neck and threw it like a basketball far off into the dark reaches of the pit. Checkers turned his back to the soldiers and bucked back as hard as he could, planting his hind hooves squarely in the face of 2 of the attackers. They flew off into the horizon as well, leaving only one Armadillo soldier left to fight.
Later, haters!
The little armadillo tucked into a ball and bounced off into the shadows below.
I saw that. You're a coward and a deserter.
The king of armadillos was at the base of the chasm, surrounded by his massive army, looking straight up at the Doomdillo and the fleeing fighter.
Sorry, boss. I just don't think it was worth it.
We'll talk about this later, Dan.
The Doomdillo had finally reached topside as it slammed its right paw down on the dusty ground and pulled itself out of the giant hole. Roscoe and Checkers were still struggling to stay on top of its scalp as the beast rose to its feet and the surface for the very first time.
Good, yes. Destroy, my pet. Flatten all of our enemies above the ground.
I've got it. I think I know what to do.
Yeah?
Come here. Let me reach into the saddlebags. Here it is. The oil for our lantern and some matches.
Great thinking, buddy.
Roscoe popped the lid off the oil bottle and began dumping the liquid all over the hairy head of the Doomdillo, who was now stomping away from the giant chasm and towards the shining lights of a faraway city.
Let's light 'em up.
As he lit the match and dropped it onto the oil-soaked head of the beast below them, Roscoe leaped on top of Checkers and jolted the reins forward. Checkers galloped off the top of the Doomdillo, which was now erupting in fire. As Checkers and Roscoe fell towards the ground, Roscoe clamped his knees tight against the saddle and held out his hat to catch the wind once again. The makeshift parachute worked like a charm, and they floated down to the ground as the Doomdillo reacted to its newfound scalding scalp violently.
Look, it's working.
The behemoth stopped dead in its tracks and tried to swat away the flames on its head. It wobbled to the right, and it wobbled to the left. It was so distracted by the fire that it stumbled backwards and fell back into the huge hole.
Uh-oh.
The king and his army were still standing at the base of the pit, directly under the doomed Dillo, who was plummeting down like a giant bag of rocks.
Curse you, Rambo Tamer. Curse you, Checkers Justice. Men, retreat.
Every armadillo rolled into a ball and attempted to roll towards the tunnel entrance, but it was no use. The doomed Dillo was too massive and falling too fast. With a mighty thud, the beast hit the bottom and flattened the Armadillo Armada like a pancake, king and all.
Hear that? Sounds like the monster met its maker down there. But what's that? A rock slide is forming? Checkers, look out!
You don't have to tell me twice.
The earth began to shake and the ground started to shift. The massive collision of the doomed Dillo had sent ripples through the earth's crust, and now the ground was burying any trace of the armadillo's menace below ground. Checkers galloped away from the seismic shifts as fast as he could, and once the two were in a safe and sturdy area, they looked back behind them to see a startling sight.
Wow, it looked like the Grand Canyon again. Kind of.
But it's twice as big now.
I guess all that stirred up dirt changed everything more or less back to normal.
It's an even grander canyon now.
You said it. I'm glad we foiled those little varmints' plans for world domination.
Me too. Let's enjoy the view a little more before we head off to the nearest town. I really need to get this leg looked at by a doctor soon.
Sounds good to me.
Hey, Checkers,
Yeah, Roscoe?
you make a really good team.
Ain't that the truth? No armadillo, big or small, can take the two of us down.
As our story comes to a close, Roscoe and Checkers gaze at the giant, recently restructured Grand Canyon. The Armadillo Armada has been obliterated and all seems right in the world. But this broadcast isn't over yet. Hear the next episode of the night after this short commercial break.
Powwow season is just around the corner. Join Indigenous Freedom Radio every Saturday afternoon, and we'll keep you informed on where we'll be for the weekend, right here on KZSM, your true community radio in San Marcos, Texas.